Hi, this is day 3, I think, here, or something like that. It is, it's almost 9 here, which is almost 6 a.m. your time. Today was kind of a fun day. We actually had the day off from work because it's a holiday. It's autumn festival or something. There's a full moon coming, so on and so forth. Needless to say, today we went to the Buddhist temple. It was pretty cool. There's lots of, it's actually fairly big, lots of buildings that you can go into, and like, I don't know how many different Buddha people, like statues. And each one means something different, and then people were walking around and praying and praying and praying and praying. And then they would walk up to these other statues that were like lions or elephants, and they would rub them and then like rub themselves and like rub their heads, and supposedly it was something like luck or good health or whatever. And so they were basically rubbing it from the statues to themselves. But it was really super interesting to see in real life, I guess, all of that stuff. And then we walked around the temple, and the temple actually has the monks run a tea house. So we went to the tea house, which was really interesting. Obviously different than home, and how they drink their tea is different than home. And the tea was really good though, which is good. Kind of obvious for we're in China. And then we decided we were going to eat at the Monk's Restaurant, which is a vegetarian restaurant, which I'm completely fine with because the meat here is really gross. So every time I eat meat here, it tastes funny and it has aftertaste and it's not good. So we went and we had, I think they ordered like 10 different dishes. So it's like family style at home. I think we only ended up having 7 or 8 of them because all of us were completely stuffed. I will post pictures of that stuff on Facebook, of the food, but surprisingly enough, so the first thing I told them, one of the guys asked us if we liked mushrooms, and of course I don't like mushrooms, and I don't like a lot of things, as we all know, and I don't like things I don't know. And I'm really not willing to try things that I don't know either, typically. So they ordered all these different plates. The first one was like pot stickers, vegetarian pot stickers. And so Rachel tried everything first. And then she said, yeah, this one's good, blah, blah, blah. So she tried the pot sticker, and then they told me they were stuffed with mushrooms. And I was like, yeah, I'm not eating that. And they kind of peer pressured me into it. So I tried it, and it was actually delicious, but the mushrooms here are not like the mushrooms at home. They have like 500 different types of mushrooms that they eat here versus, I don't know how many mushrooms we have at home. I just know the ones that I've ever tried at home are gross. And then the next dish came, which was this, I forgot what it was supposed to be. I can't remember. I think it was supposed to be a mimic of pork something or other. A dish I've never seen at home in any Chinese restaurant, but it was like these slivers of like some white vegetable. Who knew, And our host was like, oh, you have to try it. And I said, what's in it? He said, I'm not going to tell you. Just try it. And I was like, I don't know about all that. And I can only imagine what he thought about all the faces I was making when I was trying food. And I tried it, and it was my favorite dish, actually. And it ended up being all made out of mushrooms for the most part. There were some peppers in there, but that was about it. I couldn't believe they were mushrooms. They didn't have the same texture. Obviously, mushrooms will pick up, it's like tofu, picks up pretty much any flavor, but I didn't get that like earthy aftertaste or anything. So that was kind of my favorite dish. And then there was this okra dish that came out, and it had this little thing. You'll see the okra dish. It was beautiful, but it had this little tiny piece of something on the okra, very small. And of course he's like, eat, try this, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, might as well. Last one was good. I haven't had anything really terrible yet. The okra was absolutely delicious as well. And the little piece of what ended up being some sort of really expensive mushroom. You couldn't taste it. I couldn't taste it at all. But the okra was really good. And believe it or not, it wasn't slimy. It was like a steamed okra too. So that was interesting because at home, if you don't fry it with cornbread on it, it's usually really slimy. So that was good. And then the next one came out. What was that? I want to say it was a seafood dish. I might be forgetting one, but it was the seafood supposed to be like some kind of seafood. Anyway, it was really a pretty plate too. The food is usually presented really well at the restaurants here. Like, it's really pretty. Whether or not it tastes good is a different story. Anyway, this seafood thing came out, and I'm like, I'm not eating that because it's going to taste like fish, and I don't like fish at all. And then Rachel tried some, and she's like, no, you need to try it. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Like, I've gone mushrooms. I've tried like 5 new things this week or today. And she's like, no, really, really try it. So I tried it, and it was actually eggplant. And what they said was not necessarily, wasn't supposed to taste like seafood, but it was supposed to look like seafood. I don't know what it was supposed to look like because I've never seen anything like that before, but it tasted fine. It wasn't my favorite dish. It was hers. Mine still was the mushroom one that I was really surprised that I liked. Yeah, and then we were going to go see the pandas, but today is a holiday, and we went over there, and there was like 10,000 people there, and I'm not over-exaggerating because this is China, and there's 14 million people in Chengdu alone. So we went all the way across town, which is a very long drive. Chengdu is very big as far as land goes. Oh, excuse me. And then we ended up turning back around. We plan on taking a little time off work and like next week for a few hours and then going over there. This weekend, I think we're going to try to take the metro somewhere. Who knows what the metro means? I think it's like a underground train. No one speaks English, so traveling here by ourselves is kind of risky. Plus, we have absolutely no internet when we leave this room, so it's not like I can Google Map things. Or Rachel, for that matter, and most of the signs and everything are in Chinese. Then I came home, back to the hotel. Rachel wanted to rest for a little bit and ended up laying on the bed and taking a nap, which is not good because it's late for me getting up at 2:33 a.m. every day. Yeah, so I'll post the pictures from the temple today. There's some extras that Rachel actually has on her camera that I'll need to get, but it was a good day. It was fun getting out and doing something, seeing some sights outside of, looking out my window or walking through the mall downstairs or whatever. Nothing terrible, and I think I've tried more new food in the past 3 days than I probably have in the past 15 years of my life, which is a good thing. So I know there are some mushrooms I like. I don't know what they're called, and I probably won't go home and start eating mushrooms, but today's experience, the restaurant was really, really good for a vegetarian Chinese restaurant. And I guess there's even better ones out there that he wants to take us to. So at this point, I'm more than willing to try the mushroom food. And most of it, I did try, there was this little tiny, like this big of a plate with these little diced vegetables. Looks like carrots and maybe turnips or something. And I asked them what they were, and they're like, oh yeah, these are pickled. And I'm like, oh, well, this other pickled thing that I had before was really good. It tastes like pickled. So I was like, oh, cool, I'll take one. And I took it. It was the one thing that I ate today that I wanted to spit out so bad, and I was like, I'm sure they laughed because, of course, my face and, everybody knows how I am. And I sucked it up even though I really wanted to spit it out. It was really gross. It wasn't as gross as some of the meat and all that stuff that I've seen. Like, I'll eat this because it's the vegetable. It's fine. But it was really gross. And of course, again, we go back to it's kind of rude to spit your food out. I don't know if my faces are more rude because my face was like, oh, it was gross. But again, it wasn't gross like gross meat or like tonight because I've been in my hotel room all afternoon or all evening, I wanted to order like just cheese pizza, pretty safe, bread, cheese, red sauce, I think. But you call down there for room service and they don't have any pizza dough. So he's like, oh, a quesadilla is just like a pizza. Yeah, not really. And he's like, I'll send you a chicken quesadilla with extra cheese. I'm like, fine. It gets up here. It's a steak. I think it's steak. Who knows? It looked like steak quesadilla, which we're not in Mexico. We're very, very, so we may have some crappy Mexican food at home, but trust and believe, you don't eat Mexican food here. I mean, it wasn't like the worst thing I've ever had, but it definitely was not, made from anywhere close to being Mexican. And the steak and the meat always taste funny, and then that had a little side of, maybe it was sour cream. It was super runny and tasted like sour milk. So, no, not eating that. And then some kind of weird looking, I'm guessing their version of salsa. I ate about 2 of those, and that was about it. Hopefully, it doesn't make me sick. So far, that's about it. Tomorrow, we're going into work, and then I don't know we're supposed to go do karaoke this weekend, so I'm looking forward to that. And because it's like, we have our American version of karaoke, and then there's the Chinese version of karaoke, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that works out. Anyway, I'll post this video. Sorry. And then I will post the pictures from the temple today, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.